chef and builder, Jamie Pendleton. We're back in the kitchen where we are working on home canning fruit juices. How to use a fruit juice steamer, all right? Totally different than, I don't have to do the jelly bag thing to make jellies this way. You just put the fruit in the basket that's really, really clean fruit. You wash and rinse really well. Get rid of any stems that can cause any bitterness in the juices. You can add your sugar, cinnamon sticks, cloves, whatever. You can add that to the basket itself, and then you steam it and it comes out into the jar. We throw our first jar of steamed juice back into the top of the basket again, because that sterilizes our spigot or any tubing that somebody might have. Mine doesn't have the tubing, I've got a spigot. But if you've got the clamp and the tubing, you want to put that first pint or quart of juice back into the machine to make sure that you sterilize the spigot, and of course the juice, they say, will no longer be sterile coming through that tube the first time. So that just gets it nice, hot, steamy juice running through it for a few minutes running through, and that's enough to get it nice and clean, okay? So remember, put the first quart or pint of juice back in that came out. You can see here behind me, I got my remodel done, and just as a quick thing, you can see the cabinet that we built here, and the buffet, and I just absolutely love this. I love it. John put the lights in it. I built the actual cabinet itself and got it all painted, and then of course I got my kitchen table and chair set painted to match. I still have to put my clear coat on the chairs and the table yet. And then you can also see that we got the room all remodeled and painted, and I have these beautiful columns coming down that I built. I just absolutely love the house and the color. I love this color. I think it's called Stormy Grape. Oh, and if you have any questions, leave a comment below, all right? And now we're going to discuss cleaning the fruit, washing it with some vinegar, or what I use is just a little bit of soap. Now this is an old bottle, but in here I actually have some Ajax with bleach alternative, and by Ajax. And what I'm going to do is I'll just put like a little bit on my hands and then run my hands through it and clean everything really well. And then I'll run it through the rinse cycle, probably 3 to 5 times. I'll rinse it really, really well. All right, we're going to take all the stems off everything, because like I said before, the stems can really make the final juice taste kind of a little bit bitter. Maybe even like a little bit of a stale, burnt taste. A good sized strainer basket here in the sink works perfect. All right, so we're going to go ahead and we're going to get started. I have my steamer on, and I have my jars. Remember the small pints, and the 1.5 pints in the quarts are in the taller pot, and we are just going to be water bath canning these. And here I have my crock pot ready to go for any extras. Open. Make sure you have plenty of clean napkins. A soft spot to put your jars when they're done going through the canning process. Your jar lifters. And make sure you have all the right size lids and everything ready to go. We're all ready. We got our station all ready. So let's put a towel over the top. Old towel, because this will get stained pretty badly. Okay. And when we get our first jar out of the steamer, we'll set it like this. We'll turn this on when the juice starts coming out, and we'll pour that first jar back here in on top of the fruit. And then we'll start again. Again, that's just to sterilize the spigot. Okay, here is my grape crop. And what I'm doing here is, again, we're going to remove all the stems and even the little things here. So if you get a grape, I've got to break one off particular here. So if you get a grape here that's got, when you break it off, it's got even this little bit of stem here. Be sure and pinch that off as well. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to take a little bit of this Ajax soap with bleach alternative right here in my hands, get it a little soaked up, and I'm going to rub this into the grapes just like this. Give them a good rinse just like this, and keep going. It's an extra step, but I find it to be worth it. Just a little bit of soap on there. Rinse it really well. Move on to the next few. See that? These are called Black Beauties. Isn't that beautiful? All right, so we're just going to keep going like this, and then we're going to rinse these 3 to 5 times. That's 3 to 5 times. You can hear my jars in the background. They're really going to town boiling. See, little stems like this, get rid of them. These are seedless grapes, but seeded or seedless, it doesn't matter. You just throw them in. That's fine. Not getting enough soap on there. And we can fill that basket up to 8 quarts. So it holds 8 quarts of fruit. And then as it cooks down, you can just keep adding fruit. Now what I do is I taste a grape. Get a small one here. And I see how sweet they are. These are seedless. They're very sweet. And I'm not going to be adding sugar to this. Discard any fruit with any damages on it. Any rotten fruit. Take your time, do it right. Now I've got my steamer on now, and that water's starting to heat up now while we do this. You can go ahead and get the water hot now. Pull out a sack here, and I'm going to start putting my stems in a sack here. And there's more grapes where this came from. I have red grapes, green grapes. Some have seeds, some don't. I'll get these rinsed really well, and we will be right back. And we'll get this put into the strainer of the steam juicer. I just want to thank you guys for coming along for the ride. Okay, I saved one branch here. I'm going to rinse really well. I'll just wash with a little bit of soap just like this right here. And I'm going to save these out for eating. I'll just put these in a bowl, put them in the refrigerator with some of the other fruits, and I'll save these for eating. Rinse it in hot water first, and then a few seconds in the really cold water, and I'll just set these in a bowl for us to nibble on throughout the next couple of days. And I'm going to start rinsing with the really hot water first. That'll help get that soap off. This washes off any mold spores or anything that I might have missed. Okay, the soap is no longer running out of the bottom. Just kind of let these drain up. Do a last minute search here, making sure nothing has any stems on it. Yep, looks like we got the soap all out. So now we're going to head over and we're going to put these in our strainer basket. Now tell me you don't want some grape juice from this. And these are so sweet already. They're so sweet. This is going to be some beautiful grape juice. Again, these are black beauties. Most grocery stores out west carry these, and in the Midwest they carry these. I don't know about the southern states, but I knew when I tasted these a few years back in the grocery store that I was going to grow these. And they're my favorite grape. They're a seedless grape. They're large. Just a few of these in your cut up in your children's, or if they're older, you don't have to cut them up. But just a few of these, and in your child's daily diet, and it's so good and full of antioxidants, and it's so nutritious for you. You don't want to eat too much fruit sugars because, again, that can cause you to gain some weight. It is still sugars, but it's a natural sugar, and this is good for you. And something like this is so sweet, you do not have to add sugar to it. It is going to be very sweet just as it is. Just as it is. We don't need any lemon juice or any citric acid for this, or absorbic acid. This is going to do its thing all by itself. Now let's take you over here and let's show you how this is done. There we go. Oops, we got a stem. We got a stem that bypasses. Okay. No stems allowed. This is already hot and steamy. And remember, we want you to wear gloves because this is going to get very hot once I put this lid on. It's going to take about 60 minutes for grapes. I got to get my thing out of here. Oh, another stem. To get washed towards the bottom. Okay. Try not to knock any of the debris in there. Any of the paper debris. There we go. about this one is it's a flat enough clad surface that it works perfect for a glass top stove. I'm going to fill the steam. We're going to put on the lid. Got a little steam bit here. It's got a glass top so we can see through it. And we're just going to let this steam until it starts to fill up with fluids, and then we'll just open this up. And again, we're going to take that first jar and pour it back through so we can sterilize the spigot. We'll see you back here in about 45 minutes to an hour. Now these have been steaming about 15 minutes, and I've already got the juice line up to about right here. It's almost ready to start coming out of the spigot. But remember, the spigot itself is really hot, so at this stage I'm going to have to get a pair of gloves on. And I've got a hot jar down here waiting. Now I'm going to go get my gloves on and I'll be right back. We're almost ready to start. Again, I'm getting my gloves on, and if these have the grips on it, but if they're still not insulated enough, then I've got a pair of leather gloves sitting aside. I just wanted a pair of gloves. Yeah, that's going to be fine. It's going to work. Okay, ready? Look at that. Look at that. Remember, we're going to fill the first one up. And we're going to pour the juice back into the top right here. We're going to pour the juice back in right here. This is so exciting. I just love doing things like this, don't you? Look at that. Look at the color on that. There we go. Just do not want to burn yourself on this. I'm going to open this up quickly. And we're going to pour this juice back in. All we did was sterilize the spigot. So we're going to pour the juice back in. Quickly put the lid back on. Smells so good. We're going to set this one aside. Okay, we have our lids and rings hot and ready to go. We're just going to reach in here. We're going to grab a hot, very hot jar. Oops. Make sure you get all the water out of that, because that's got a little bit of vinegar in it. We're going to bring it around here. Sit it under the spigot carefully here. Fill up the jar. There we go. Remember, 1/4 inch head space, so we're just going to check the head space. That's just about right here at the top of that top ring there. Do you see the steam coming off this? This is sterile coming out of the jar. This is already sterile. Keep kids and pets back. You don't want to knock this over. This isn't the most stable idea in the world, but it's working for me because I've got this third stove. Right? I'll use this to turn that off. A little bit more. There we go. There we go. Don't want to burn ourselves. Clean the top quickly. Stop spilling it on yourself. Try not to hit this. This is very hot. And the stove right here is very hot. So just be very, very careful. We're going to grab a hot lid. Finger tight. Now because this is juice and water bath canning, I always do that extra 1/4 inch. You don't want to crank it on too tight because this lid needs to lift up enough to let the air bubbles out during the water bath canning process. And remember, we're water bath canning, we're not pressure canning. Alright? Careful not to tip. Make sure you pick these up in the glass rim right here. Don't pick it up by the ring, pick it up by that shoulder. And look at that. Isn't that just beautiful? Some of the darkest juice I've made to date. It is absolutely gorgeous. Now we're just going to take and we're just going to lift this up and we're going to set this right down inside its happy little home right there inside the canner. There we go. There we go. And that canner, I forgot to put a rack in it, so I'm going to have to take everything out, and I'm going to have to put a rack in the canner. All right, let's just keep going. Okay. Try this again. Look at that. That is just so beautiful. And there's no reason to have to debubble this because it's just a liquid. There's no fruit or anything in here. Now, things you can use this for. You can use this to make jelly. You know, no more jelly bags and no more cheesecloth. You can use this to make jelly. Oh, there we go. We're coming to the end. We'll go ahead. If you have to, run your other glove, and you can give this a little bit of a tilt. Not much, mind you. Tilt it just a little bit. Remember, there's water in the bottom of that pan. That's going to get me another jar by tilting that. Look at that. There we go. That tells me I'm going to have to let this steam for a little longer. Remember, this is concentrated. Ouch, that's hot coming off there. This is very, very concentrated stuff. This has got a bow in it. It's not wanting to go on. There we go. Be nice and warm in the canner. That's where we want it. All right, now I gotta let this steam a little longer while these are just kind of sitting here in their happy little home. And when we get all the juice out of this, we can. It's taken about, let's see, about 40 minutes so far. Another 10 to 30 minutes here, and it should be done. And we'll be right back. All right, I've come to the end of it, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and just take a potato masher. And I don't want this to go through the sieve. I need this to actually go through the sieve. But I'm just going to kind of mash it gently. Very gently mashed. Kind of stir them up a little bit. Oops. Those just went into my lids and things. Okay, I'm just going to kind of do this just a little bit. I want them to kind of burst a little bit. Get any pockets of fluid that are in them out. Okay, just kind of doing kind of like a light chopping motion. Just barely hitting that. You see that? I'm barely hitting that. I want that steam to come through here and finish that off. We're going to let that run for another 15 minutes. And then we're going to call this one done. And the chickens will love this. My son's chickens are going to love this. Now when I run the water bath canner, I will keep the empty jars in there. That will just continue to keep them sterilized. Put my glove back on. There we go. Be gentle with it. In that hot water. There's nothing wrong with that lid or that ring. I think I got that ring again that didn't want to go ahead and put that down inside the water bath. Grabbing it by that glass shoulder. This is getting darker as it goes down. 1 part of the concentrate to 2 parts of filtered water or bottled water. And this right here is not going to come out easily. This is why I told you to use an older tea towel and stuff. Working down in here carefully. I'm going to lift this up, watching out for steam, and see how much fluids I still have down in there. Okay, I think these are done. See, I started to push them through the strainer just a little bit. We don't want to do that. So I think these are done. We'll let it go another 10 minutes, and then we'll call this done.
And then we'll get what's in the bottom of this pot. We'll get out, tilt it forward and get out. And it'll probably be another pint's worth in the bottom. And I'm just going to keep going because I know my spigot is already sterile. So we're just going to keep going. All right, next up, how to juice cherries. Please hit the like button, show your support. We just really need to know that we're bringing you the content that you're enjoying and watching now. So that lets us know that you're watching and that you want more videos like this. Be sure and subscribe because we're going to be bringing a lot of these videos out to you. We have many made, and we're going to be uploading a lot of videos in the next couple of weeks. I'm going to crank the heat up on this, and I'm going to leave my empty jars in here because I'm going to be using these empty jars for the next load. That'll keep them sterile. So I'll just keep the empty jars in there, and I'll keep those other jars from floating around. And we're going to boil these jars for 25 minutes. That's 25 minutes for the 1.5 pints and the quarts. And if we were doing the pints, then we would water bath them for, you can do them for the same amount of time. It doesn't hurt them. But 20 minutes is fine for pints. 20 to 25 minutes, that's fine. That does the job. All right, so we're going to get this up to a boil and get this done for you. All right, we're back. Our timer's just about ready to go off. We're going to turn the heat off, and we're going to let this rest for 5 minutes, and we'll see you back here then. Okay, our 5 minutes are up. Remember to open this up this direction so you don't get a steam burn. Let these sit for 5 minutes. Everything's still going pretty good here. Now our air conditioner's on, so you want to sit this out of a draft. Do not tilt. There's fluid in here. Do not tilt. Very gentle, very careful. Be sure and pick these up by the glass shoulder, not by the lid. Those lids are actually loose now that they're sealing down. And I'll show you a trick here. We should hear them popping. Make sure you got a good grip on it before you carry it out of there. And remember, I put the empties in here to keep them sterilized. I put them through the can or two so they wouldn't move around and they wouldn't jar around in here. And that's fine. Now this one here's the one that has the pulp in it, and that's fine. So if you want your juice clear, don't mash it down on the fruit in the strainer. So you hear that? It's sealed, you just couldn't hear it. And they might seal up and down when they get really hot like this. Sometimes they'll just seal up and down and you'll hear them pop up and down. But that's good. They will still seal. This one right here's got a little bit of pulp in it, and that's fine too. So if you like pulp in your juices, mash it up a little bit, let the pulp through, just a little bit of pulp through. I like a little pulp in my grape juice, so that works for me. And remember, this is concentrate. This is a concentrated juice. So we'll be adding filtered water or bottled water to this. And we just hope that you enjoy this. This is Chef and Builder Janie Piddleton. Be sure and hit the subscribe button because coming up next is cherry juice. And you can see here the cherries are in the steamer now. Okay. And look at the color of this juice. Have you not seen a more beautiful grape juice? And this one right here is the one that's got a little bit of pulp in it. Did it both ways so you could see. And this made 4 1.5 pints of juice. And my strainer holds 8 quarts. And you saw it was a full 8 quarts. And the cherries are full in here. So I've got over 8 quarts of cherries in there too. So the cherries won't make quite as much juice as the grapes. Because a lot of the cherries just don't have the juice in them that grapes have inside of them. So you'll get probably about a 1/2 quart to a quart less off the cherries. I'm expecting to get about 3 of these 1.5 pints off the cherries. All right. We'll see. We'll see how it goes. But again, I'm going to take that pulp over here and I'll put it in with the pulp from this, and we'll make a mixed berry jam or something. We'll figure out something, or I'll run it back through the strainer and get get the extra juice off of it, and maybe get some mixed berry juice. All right, so be sure and subscribe. Blessings.